Before we get started with the show, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Our first sponsor is Atmos Planning, financial planners turning visionaries into meaningful millionaires. Our second sponsor of the day is Planet Duct. Reach out to them for any of your air duct cleaning needs. Now, let's get on with the show. Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast, the #1 podcast in Colorado Springs. My name is Andrew Hasley, and I'm the host of the show. Today, we have on Keith Dorscht with mymomandpop.com, right?
That's
and you run a counseling business as well, right?
As well, that's counselorkeith.com.
Counselorkeith.com. Okay, sweet, man. Well, can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
First, as a counselor,
whichever one, man.
Okay. Well, I moved from Toronto, Canada, 17 years ago, and joined a counseling office here in town that did marriage intensive. So I'd see a couple for a whole week. For a morning, 3 hours a day for 5 days, and then another couple in the afternoon, so 15 hours total, 2 couples a week, and I've led over 500 of those marriage intensives. Then once I got residency here, I left that office and started my own because I wanted to work with families as well, parents, children, multi-generational. I've worked with up to 36 different family members.
Okay.
At one time, spending
within the same family.
Within the same family.
Okay.
Yeah, it was out of state. I traveled to them, and for just over 3 weeks, worked with everybody in the whole family. Got everybody on the same page. Healed some issues that had been in the family for a long time, and it's been a lot of fun. I've been doing it for 25 years.
That's interesting. The whole family dynamic. 36 people. I don't even know there's 36 people in my family.
Well, this was in Arkansas.
Oh, okay. All right, sweet. And so what prompted you to start the My Mom and Pop thing?
Well, the My Mom and Pop came to me over a year ago, as soon as the pandemic started.
Okay.
My wife and I, like many people in town and around the country, said, I want to support the family-owned businesses that are local that really need it now because people are shutting down. They don't have the support of being part of an association or a franchise or anything like that helping them. My wife's parents moved to Canada. Her mom was 13, and they opened up a restaurant. So they're immigrants to there. They've run their own pizza place for years, and we just thought of them in this situation. And so we went to look. We knew a couple that we knew were family-owned. They're the ones we went to, but we knew there was more out there. And so we tried to find them. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard to find them. I often challenge people. I won't do it to you right now, but the challenge is pick up your phone and find all the family-owned independent businesses within 5 miles of us right here. And you're not going to get it. You'll get, in Google, it'll pull up a business that has the name or the word family in it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean it's family-owned. And so and there's lots of problems with other platforms and finding them. If you go to Yelp, like today, I was doing it again this morning, I was looking for family-owned duct cleaning businesses. Mm-hmm. And what came up first was an ad for a burger joint, an ad for a bowling alley, and then there was a list of duct cleaners, but nothing saying whether or not they were family-owned. And so because of the pandemic, there's a whole new search criteria that people have. When they're looking now, they're very conscious of where they're spending their money, and they want to support these people. And so we make it really easy on our website for people to go to it and know that all they're going to find is family-owned, independent people who truly value the support of the people coming. And there are no ads on the site. There's actually a couple local business directory sites out there, and I went to them and I typed in what I was searching for and hit search, and the first thing that comes up is a pop-up ad for something unrelated. And I thought, you know what this is doing? This is actually distracting me from what I'm trying to find. And it's throwing something else. How does that help the business listed on your website? These distractions come up. And so we didn't want to have that. So we do charge for our listings because we don't have those advertisings going on. We also don't have any reviews. What's that community online? Is it Nextdoor or Neighbor or something?
Probably Nextdoor.
Nextdoor. You know, I've seen people on there who maybe are having a bad day and they write up a review of a restaurant or a business without knowing the context, right? And so a business can be so hurt by a bad review. And they say it can take 20 good ones to erase one bad one. Well, that takes a lot of time. You can get 20 reviews and them all be good. Those reviews don't share the context. Imagine being a family-owned business, being stressed, having to put in tons of hours, having to choose between, do I stay home with my sick child today, or do I go in because I might have a handful of customers coming into my store? Having to make those choices, and then maybe having a bad encounter with a customer. The people who are searching to support family-owned businesses, they understand that, and they give grace to those businesses.
Yes.
And they don't go online and write a bad review right away. So we are simply a directory that connects and introduces the hundreds and thousands of people across the country who want to support family-owned independent business with those businesses. Then it's up to them to make the decision on whether or not they want to support them by looking at reviews or something like that. But we don't want that. Those hurt businesses more than they do good.
Yeah. Well, sweet, man. I can't wait to get more into that in this episode and about your counseling stuff too. But first, we're going to roll the intro music and then we'll get started.
All right.
All right. This is a show where we have real conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners who are mostly in Colorado Springs doing things in the community of Colorado Springs. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was just. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. Yeah, it just allows it to be more better quality, I guess.
That's always good.
It picks up all the range. Sure. So yeah, man. So when did you come up to Colorado Springs again?
2003.
2003, and what brought you out here?
I joined a counseling office. I was down here getting training. It was kind of an unconventional way of getting into counseling. I'd wanted to be a counselor since I was 13.
Okay.
When I was a teenager, parents would pay for my lunch. Say, I'll pay for your lunch if you take my teen out and talk common sense to them.
Okay.
And so I had these adults really validating in my life that, you make good contributions into people, and a lot of it was just common sense. And so then I was getting some training, and when I came down for training one week with my wife, the director of this office said, "Would you guys move here?"
Okay.
And,
you looked at the mountains and you were like, okay.
This ain't a bad place. Toronto has great seasons, cold winters, beautiful snow, hot summers, great fall, and great spring, but they got mosquitoes and bugs and all that kind of stuff. I was like, no, this is reason to stay here.
Yes.
So it's a beautiful country and lots of opportunities.
Okay. And was that a difficult coming from another country and transferring?
It was horrible.
Okay.
As far as leaving family, coming to a place where I knew absolutely nobody. 9/11 had just occurred. And so you show up at the border with everything loaded up, and it's there they decide if they're going to stamp you and let you in or not. And if they say no, you've left your house. Now, my wife's parents had just given us a brand new house. It was a year old, actually.
Okay.
And her dad had come in and said, duplicate this model home. And then he gave it to us. It was 40 minutes outside Toronto on the biggest lake in the province in a town of 5,000. So you got small town, 40 minutes from 3 million people, big city fun.
Yeah.
Brand new house. It was ideal. We had to give that back. We had to take the risk of getting in here. We had to leave family. But we knew it was the right thing to do.
Okay.
And we came down. We came down with 3 kids at the time. We have 3 more now. We have 6 kids. My son is the oldest. He's 24. And then I got 5 daughters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So it's nice to be here in a room with just guys.
Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah, man. So that's cool. Why did you know it was the right thing to do?
Well, we were here for the training, and we came in a couple days early. We wanted to do some whitewater rafting, and the day before the training, we were walking through Garden of the Gods. And my wife turned to me and said, "If we ever moved here, do you think your family would come and visit?" And I said, "That's a stupid question."
Yeah.
Because we were here getting training because we're setting up this office in Canada, and that was the end of it. That's not a good response. That's a stupid question.
Yeah,
not a good response. Kind of shut her down. The next day, the conference started. It was the 10 o'clock in the morning break. And
she planted the seed, essentially.
The counselor, the director of the office, put his hand on my shoulder and said, "I have a question for you. Would you join the office?" And it was so out there for me. I thought he said, "Would you join me in my office so I can ask you a question?"
Yeah.
But he was saying, "Will you join the office?" And I said, "I'll think about it." And I went in the room where Nancy was, and she said, "What's wrong?" I said, "You're not going to believe this." She goes, "He just invited you to join the office and move here." I'm like, "How did you know?" She goes, "Well, yesterday when we were walking in Garden of the Gods, the thought was we might be coming here." And she started thinking through if we would. So, when things like that happen, it's like there is something going on here.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a dream position. You know, this office had a 3-year wait list because it was really good and really effective. And so coming into not having to build up any clientele or anything like that, and have like instant wait list and just be kind of fed couples each week, see who you have and get to work with them. It was a kind of a dream position. Great city to be a part of, and we just knew.
Yeah. And so I don't recall if we were talking about this before we started recording, but you work with couples, or you started working with couples when you first started your practice.
It was just couples, and I would just see them for 15 hours. And I know...
For 15 hours straight?
3 hours a day for 5 days.
Okay.
And these couples were coming from all over the country, right? So they're coming to beautiful Colorado Springs. Sunshine, hiking, scenery, no work for them, no kids for the week. I always say a baboon can lead you to a breakthrough in your relationship in that setting. It doesn't take much in that setting. Not to take away from the counseling, it was effective. People got the breakthroughs, but I knew change and patterns, you know, they're neurological, they're in your brain, and they don't change overnight or in a week. And so there needs to be follow-up. And that office just wasn't set up for follow-up. So I wanted to provide what I felt was really going to serve the couples, and that's being able to work with them in an intensive, if that's what they needed, or just standalone sessions, if that's what they needed, so they could get the follow-up and see the change over time. Because people have to grow into new habits and new ways of doing relationship.
And that's what your main bread and butter was, or is?
Was right now. You know, I've gotten to a point where I can actually pick the clients I want to work with.
Okay, that's good.
And there's some situations I don't want to touch. There's others I know I could really help them with. And some people, even though they're might be in crisis and heading for divorce, they're actually still fun to work with. You know, they just need a little more help to get it where they want to get it to. And so I pick the people I think I'm going to enjoy working with.
For sure.
And
that probably helps make it more successful too.
I think so. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got to like the people and the work you're doing. So
yeah. And so how long were you working at that practice before you went off and started your own?
I was there for 6 years.
6 years?
And I did my own, and then I started doing a lot with children and families, and I've spoken several times to grandparenting groups. Because there's a lot of issues, and you know, some of the funny issues are like these adult children have kids, and now that marijuana is legalized, their parents, the grandparents, are going back to how they lived in the 70s in California.
Oh, great.
And the adult children are concerned about, I don't want my kids around the grandparents because they're always
going to smoke pot together.
Stuff like that. You know, like these things pop up that never existed before.
That's
You're
great.
Working with families like that across generations, and it's just a lot of fun. I love the challenge. The more challenging it is, the more I get into it. My strengths, I'm very strategic. I don't know. Are you familiar at all with Clifton's strengths?
I'm not.
Okay. So Don Clifton, he looked at what is positive about people. What are their strengths? Freud was looking at what screwed you up.
Okay.
He's looking at what's right about you. And he identified 34 different traits that are all positives, and everybody has them in a unique order. Nobody in the history of the world, not just alive today, but nobody in the history of the world has the same 34 strengths in the order that you do. To find someone who has even the same top 5 as you is 1 in 30 million.
Wow.
So everyone is very unique. Now, when you get in relationships, these things that are really just differences between people, when you get hurt in a relationship or have judgment or something, they become right or wrongs. And you try and change the person instead of learning that, you know what, we're just different. So one of the strengths, a lot of the strengths are relational, like being restorative, being a relator. And I'm kind of low on those. And people say, well, you're a counselor. You should be good at restoration. And I'm not.
Okay.
And you ask my wife, you need to go work this out with one of our kids. I'm like, I'm at a loss at what to do. But I'm high strategy. I have a lot of ideas, and I'm futuristic. So I get ideas about what the future can look like, and I come up with a strategy to get this couple from where they are to where they want to be. And that's what actually makes me an effective
That's interesting.
counselor.
It's funny, that exact setup for that sentence that you laid out is similar to how I talk about my business with running video production, like from a strategic side, and to get a business to where they are, to where they want to go, essentially.
That is like a statement of a strategy person. I'm so high strategy when I walk in my house, I think of the possible routes I could go to where I want to get to.
Yeah.
I think of, well, over here I might have a backpack I got to walk around. Over here there might be a divider, and it's just natural, right? So these strengths are actually in your DNA and in your brain. You can't change them. So you just always perceive life that way. So a lot of these couples, a lot of these parents and kids, they don't know each other's strengths. They don't know how to work with them and how to allow them in the relationship. So that's one thing that I do that's probably a little different than many counselors out there.
That's awesome. Yeah. I think I share a similar strategic trait, because when I'm plotting routes, even that you said that, I'm thinking of lights, I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking of when I'm walking to my car, when I park a couple blocks down, I'm thinking of how I can time the crosswalk perfectly to hit it.
And it's easy and natural for you, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And you'll meet someone with a different strength who wants you to look at and consider it differently. And it's like, okay, how do we work together on this?
Actually, my favorite genre of video game is literally called strategy games.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So that's cool. So starting this business, the counseling business, what was some of the challenges you had when starting it?
Well, like I said, it was kind of an unorthodox way. I actually failed psychology in university.
Okay.
And I had an opportunity to go to school and get a master's in counseling. I was living in Toronto. I was working for a family who had a special needs son. I'd worked with him for several years, and I took care of him, spending almost 40 hours a week with him. He had cerebral palsy. He was paralyzed from the waist down. I did everything for him, getting him up in the morning, putting him to bed, all of that. And they wanted me to continue working for him. So they were going to make a donation to the school for the amount of my 3 years of education. And in return, I would work for them taking care of their son for those 3 years.
Nice.
Sounded good, right? But it's not legal.
Okay.
You cannot make a donation,
get
a receipt, and getting a service or something in return. I knew that. And I totally understand the family and their needs. And they said, Dorscht, nobody's going to know. And I took a couple days and thought about it. And I went to the school and talked to the person I needed to talk to. Now, this person, I remember seeing this person my first day walking onto campus. And he just had this huge smile on his face. And here's what I said that first day. I said, if nothing else, I want to come out of this school having what he has inside of him, because that's such a great smile. Well, it turns out, and I never talked to the guy, nothing like that. Turns out he's the guy. I got my undergrad there. It turns out he's the guy I need to talk to about this master's program. And I went into him and I said, he's like, well, welcome to the program. And I said, I can't do it. I said, what you don't know is that I'm working for them and there's this exchange. And I know it's not legal and I know I could get away with it, but you can't go into a business, a service to people of counseling and not have integrity. And I can't do it. And I said, I came to the school wanting to have what you have inside you. And I think I just got it for myself today.
Oh, nice.
And I walked out of there and my dream had died. I was going to have 3 years paid for. The next day, my wife got 2 letters in the mail forgiving all her student debt. She had a real rough upbringing. 10 weeks after we were married, she was put in a mental hospital for 4 months, diagnosed permanently disabled, given 6 months to live, told she'd never be able to have children, all that kind of stuff. And so because of that diagnosis, her loans got forgiven. So now all of a sudden, I didn't have money to go to school, but I didn't have over $50,000 in debt to do that. Then I was at church one Sunday, and we had visitors. And the visitors came up to us and said, do you want to come to our house for lunch? Now that doesn't happen in churches. A visitor invites someone from the church. I said, sure. And I said, he also was asking me, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to get into counseling. He said, well, then you need to hear about this office in Colorado Springs and the guy running it, because it's really effective. And that's how I came across.
Interesting.
This,
Okay.
But you know what? Saying no to those 3 years of education paid for, that was hard. Living out of those values. If what I do, I don't live in my own life, I can't export it to another couple or another family. So what's hard at times, it's always right, and I don't doubt it. What's hard at times is staying on that high road of integrity and humility and serving the people that I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's been a challenge.
Why do you think you were able to hold that integrity?
It's a strength. I can't imagine lying. I can't imagine not having a clear conscience about some of that stuff. And then that has caused me to be able to lead people. I once had a situation where this couple came to me. It was kind of court-ordered counseling because they wanted to adopt. And so for them, because the wife couldn't have children, and in order for them to adopt, they had to go through counseling. And I tell them, every couple of your family, you got to be open. You've got to be honest. If you've got something, if you got one thing in your closet that you're going to hide that you say, I'll take this to my grave, that leaves a root in your life of fear that if anyone finds out about this, that all the problems we're going to work on this week are going to come back because that fear is going to attract you. You've got to be open and honest. I challenge everybody with that. I tell them stories where I had to be like that. Well, in the process, this husband got that. It registered, and he realized he had to be open and honest with me about some sexual abuse that he was involved in with his sisters in the Amish community. And he had worked through it with the siblings, but he had to include that as part of his story. And I said, was it ever reported? And he said, no. I said, I need to report that. And they went from, and this was going to kill their chances for adoption. They'd never have kids. And I made the phone call over my lunch break to the state they were from, and they said, limitations have passed. This is not reportable. And they came back from lunch, and I was able to say, you can go ahead with the adoption. What you did is not required to be reported. You've got a clean conscience. And when I am around people like that, that emboldens me and encourages me to keep walking that out in my own life. My best therapy counseling for me is working with people and seeing them take courageous steps, seeing guys willing to give up their job when they're traveling salesmen because they're in my office because they have a girlfriend in every city they go to. And they come in and say, I need to change jobs, change careers if I'm going to fix this.
And it's against their internal values, having those multiple girlfriends.
Yeah, they'll hide it as long as they can.
Okay.
But when they want to,
and that's the conflict right there, is that they're lying to all these people. That's an internal conflict within them. Okay,
which will attract problems.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not a foundation to build
yeah.
the marriage you want on. And I could have told this guy on Monday, you know, you're going to need to give up your job, but I knew he wouldn't come back Tuesday.
Yeah.
Thursday, I use a technique of connecting people neurologically. Mm-hmm. There's things you can do with your brain. There's things you can do with how close you sit with a person, with eye contact, those types of things that create a connection. And when the brain is connected that way, it functions out of love and care. So I don't tell people what they need to do. I connect them in a way they haven't been connected with their spouse or their kids for years. And I see them just start offering compassionate responses. So I didn't tell this guy, this is what it's going to take for you. But he came in Thursday and said, I had an aha moment in the shower this morning, and I waited to come here to tell you because my wife is going to freak out. And I'm like, why is your wife going to freak out? And he says, because I need to change jobs, and we really like our lifestyle. And it's going to mean we're not going to be able to maintain it, but I need to do it. And the wife's crying. And I said, is this the response you expected? He's like, no, I don't know why she's crying. And she was just so appreciative that he was willing to do that. She could care less about the loss of income, the change in lifestyle. She saw him on his own.
She didn't care about the multiple spouses?
Oh, she did care about, yeah, she cared about all the girlfriends for sure. Yeah.
But she was able to forgive him?
Yes. And he went on, changed careers, got a different degree. He sends me updates every few months. I love those. I get stories where people will contact me years later, give me an update, tell me they're having another baby, you know, showing me that they're still together. That's so rewarding.
Yeah. Do you think she was able to forgive him because he was willing to make those drastic changes?
That certainly helped. You know, when you do this neurological connection with a person, so your core emotion, what you're feeling towards a person, comes out your eyes in 1/6 of a second, which is faster than you can think. So you can't filter it. It's true and it's raw. And the number one way is out your eyes. The second most effective and truthful, honest way is a voice tone. But we rely on eyes. So when I face a couple and I give him a question and he repeats it to her, looking at her, if that question registers with him, that'll register, it'll show out his eyes.
Micro expressions.
Yes. Yeah. That fast. So even though I'm asking the question, the fact it's coming from his heart is coming into her eyes, and it hits her mirror neurons, which are in the front of your brain. And so their mirror, they reflect, they change to whatever the emotion is coming in the eyes. So if he is interested in her, if he is curious about what she's thinking, if he is remorseful for what he's done, her mirror neurons change to feel that. And it's true and it's genuine, and her brain will want to cooperate with that because it is life-giving to be in those places. If it's anger coming out his eyes, she's going to be guarded and stuff. And I encourage people not to make eye contact when you're jacked.
Yeah.
Especially if you got kids and you're looking at them, you say, hey, look at me. That's what I used to do.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something, because if they looked in my eyes, then they'd obey better.
Yeah.
I realized what I was doing was downloading adult-level emotions into little kids' brains, and their brains can't handle it, and they go into poor coping mechanisms and survival skills of how do I deal with this upset parent kind of stuff. So a lot of little things in there going on that, again, cause the people to empathize, sympathize, and act compassionately. Mm-hmm. And if I can make that connection, which I do, I play music all the time, that connects brains. Mm-hmm. They're in similar activity, and the brains that fire together, wire together.
Yeah, I've heard that neurons that fire together, wire together.
And that's exactly what it is. If I'm feeling remorseful and my wife is feeling remorseful, now we've created a healthy bond, and we can move ahead. And that opens the door for forgiveness, because now she's getting what she's needed from her husband for so long, and now she doesn't want anything as a barrier to getting those needs met. So if she has bitterness, she's going to want to forgive him because she sees that that's hindering her getting the love that he obviously has for her now.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show and sharing some knowledge, man.
You know what? I hope it encourages people, saves a marriage, gives people hope. I always say if the change can happen in other couples the way it's happened for me, going from where my wife and I were 25 years ago to where we are now, there's hope. There's hope for everybody. That was pretty bad back then.
Okay.
It's kind of good. So, the School of Hard Knocks, I guess that's what I graduated from.
For sure. Who was that psychologist you said that focuses on the positive traits?
Don Clifton.
Don Clifton.
Now, it's actually run now by Gallup, and most people are aware of Gallup polls.
I think so, yeah.
So they research the heck out of everything.
Okay.
And this is an assessment that's been done 25 million times. They do it with people in prison who are going to be released, and the ones that go through it and learn what their strengths are and live out of them have, there's only a 15%
rehabilitation
where they go back.
Okay.
So 85% of them leave and move on and get established in life.
Okay.
When they know these things about you. Fear is the biggest enemy to relationship. Fear is the biggest enemy against a business being successful, whether it's fears of what's going on out there with the pandemic, whether it's a fear of something within your company, whether it's a fear with someone producing your product, whether it's your own personal fear. Fear is the enemy. And the way to shift from being in a place of fear to a place of desire and going after those things you want is by having a clear understanding and language for your identity and who you are. So when you're in a fearful situation, you can ask yourself, who am I? How am I naturally made? What comes easy for me? How do I apply that in this situation? And you will find that the solution for what you need, whether it's in business or relationship, is within you and who you really are. So I do spend a fair bit of time on that identity piece.
Figuring out who you really are when you're working with clients, who they really are.
And I found nothing better than Don Clifton's assessment.
Yeah, that's awesome, because it's often said, since I've been in business, that I've heard from a lot of people, talking about, the abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset. And that's typically exactly what you were just describing is, the scarcity is out of the fear and out of all of that. And then the abundance is out of the desire type of stuff.
Yeah. You've got something to draw on, fear is at the back of your brain, and love and ability to accomplish goals and pursue things is at the front of the brain. And I always tell people, you can't be two places at one time, whether it's here in this office or whether it's in your brain.
Yeah.
And so how do you move a brain that's in fear to the front?
Okay.
The easiest way is give choices. So if I see a couple and one of them starting to shut down, I just start giving choices. Hey, Andrew, would you like to take a break? Would you like a short break or a long break? Would you like a drink or do you want to go for a walk? Can I get you a coffee or a tea? Would you like this or that? And I start peppering them with questions where they have to choose, and you can't make a choice right in the back when you're afraid. You're reacting, and you usually have one or two choices, and that's it. But if you have that ability, like an electrical grid fires up, more electricity here, more here, more here, you get to the front of the brain and you're making choices. And now when you come back to counseling, you can move ahead. You've got choice in that. So another little
that's awesome, man.
There. Yeah.
So when with your business, what was your strategy? How did you get clients?
They came, there was that 3-year wait list, so I was just fed them. And then when I left there and started my own nonprofit, it was all word of mouth.
Okay. Because of the work you did at the original practice.
Yeah,
okay.
People knew a couple situation, and then that couple comes back and they're like, you could benefit from a couple hours.
Nice.
And they would come. So, and I have a hard time with advertising.
Okay.
Because a lot of advertising is fear-based. Go for scarcity, go for fear of missing out, not being like everybody else and all that. And like, my whole thing is working against fear. So the other option is to promote and tell the positive stories. I have too much respect for people and their lives and their situations to blab their stories, even if they give me permission. They might even go a couple of really good years after counseling, but that 5th year, they might have a problem, and I don't want to put out false hopes or anything like that. So I've just always struggled with advertising, getting the message out there and let people find me.
Yeah, that's interesting. Have you heard of BetterHelp?
Yes.
They've been, like, as a videographer, they've been doing some really good little, like, 10 or like 15-second little commercials on social media.
Yep.
But like the way that they capture the emotion and the feeling of what a person is going through in that 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and they capture it so well with video. Like someone's having a panic attack and they use these vertigo effects, like where the background's coming in and stuff like that. And it just expresses that so well. And then they're really doing a great job with their advertising, I think, because I think people are actually, like, if you read the comments too, people are connecting with it. People are literally saying, wow, they nailed that, like, so it's like they're doing, like, advertise and maybe check out some of them. So but I don't think you need that because you have such good word of mouth, but
I've got some stuff going on.
Yeah. Yeah, and I could see how that could be a challenge, fear-based. I was working with a private investigator. What is he supposed to say? Is your wife cheating on you, or something like that, like,
right.
Like promoting that is kind of, like you don't really, it kind of, I guess, it messes with a lot of people's internal core values, I think.
A lot of people aren't looking for counseling until they reach crisis, right? You can't sell preventative. You can, but it's really hard.
Yeah.
and so they're in that crisis point, and they've got a lot of fears. I don't want to play on that at all.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about my mom and pop a little bit. We did talk about it at the beginning, and it's mymomandpop.com.
Correct.
Okay. And we talked about a little bit how and why you started it. So how's that going? It's fairly new, right?
It's fairly new. I'm putting I'm putting very little energy into getting businesses signing up. I have someone else who's handling that and looking into that, and we're close to 30 businesses on there right now, hoping for about 100 or plus, again, before we start driving the community to it. Like I said, we don't have advertising on there because that distracts you and takes you away from what you're really there on the site for. And we don't have reviews, comments, star ratings, anything like that. It's just the millions of people wanting to support family owned. And like I said in the intro, there are other directories out there, but they've got the advertising and the ratings. What no one has done yet is taken the local scene of family-owned independent businesses and focused on that, but also looking towards the collective national power of everybody thinking who's a family-owned business right now. I say we fondly refer to them as mom and pops because some family-owned independent businesses do millions and millions of dollars a year, right? They're not hole-in-the-wall businesses.
Yeah.
They are successful. They just don't have any outside backing, and they might be big companies doing construction, custom home builds, things like that. So it's really for those family-owned businesses. And I have a goal that, and this number will probably adjust, but I want people to be thinking at least 1 out of every 5 times they book an appointment, buy a product, order a meal that they are thinking, who is the local family-owned business?
You want to get them into thinking that.
This is really, for me, my goal is to change their mindset about how they're spending and where they're spending their dollars during these times and who needs it, and get the good feels of knowing what you're supporting, but then getting it around the country, right? Like everybody's heard of Craigslist. Have you ever seen an ad for Craigslist?
No, I don't think they have. Yeah. They don't even have ads on their website, I don't think either.
They do. Well, they'll sponsor. Yeah.
It's very little though.
Very, very little. I think there's still only 11 people working there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've done a little bit of research on how they grew. Well, everybody knows Craigslist or Marketplace on Facebook. Everybody knows when I want to buy something used, that's where I go. I want everyone in the country thanking my mom and pop for supporting family-owned businesses. The way things are going with governments, government decisions, taxes, relationships, trade with other countries, it's only going to grow this awareness of those mom and pops. So let's gather the collective energy of everybody thinking, how can I support a family-owned business? So that no matter what city you're in, where you're traveling, you're looking, I wonder if there's a family-owned hotel. I want to find a family-owned restaurant. The funny thing is, we're, like I said, almost at 30 listings. We don't have a single restaurant on there yet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. We've got, I think, 12 different categories of businesses. Because when people think mom and pop, they think like my wife's parents' mom and pop pizzeria.
Yeah, I think food when I think mom and pop,
We don't have that. And there are so many more, right? Because we think restaurants, we don't think. We might think small business. Small business Saturday in November, I think it is.
Oh, see, I don't even know.
October, and that's for only small businesses, but small business can be a chain. It can be a franchise. And so you're supporting businesses that are not the ones we're wanting to support. We want to support those ones and get that collective mindset and the power of that going. Another thing we want to do is have business boosts. So if you are a listed business on our website on a particular day, we're going to leverage social media. We're going to leverage all the other businesses on the site, the people they know, the customers, and drive people to your business to support you for that one day. I know there's the Barstool thing out there and people can apply and get money given to them. This isn't about applying or anything like that. It's just like, you know what? You're going to buy a bottle of liquor to drink this weekend. Well, Friday is Business Boost Day for Pike's Liquor. And so everybody, bomb them today. Love bomb them.
Yeah.
And support them. And let's give them enough revenue that they can pull down that GoFundMe, because no business should have to go through that horrible process of doing a GoFundMe just to survive when there are enough people out here directed there. So again, that collective power.
You could meme them essentially.
Yes.
Kind of like the Dogecoin rally or the GameStop stock. People came together to focus and drive that.
Right.
Obviously for like monetary gains for themselves, but but now we could focus that collective energy onto one business. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I like that.
Boost and expose them to something new. And I can see in 7 days going to 5 different ones in the course of a week for the different things I need.
For sure.
So that's something that's coming and is an added feature of being listed on the website. Is that
I like it.
You get your opportunity there, and it might run a couple times a year for you.
So why small business? Not just small business. Why mom and pop? Why family-owned business?
The family-owned, because they don't have that safety net. Unless they've got a lot of money personally that they've inherited or something and can do this. They are passionate about what they do, but they have a lot of challenges.
A lot of them are living paycheck to paycheck.
Very much.
Maybe even less than that, just to keep their business going. Yeah.
And so, as a counselor, I've worked, so I said I've led over 500 of those intensives. I've done 30,000 hours of standalone counseling on top of that. And I've been in people's lives and seen the stress on their relationships and on their family. I work with adult children who talk about their parents and how they were always busy in the restaurant. I remember stories of my wife when her parents came from Italy. They didn't speak English. She remembers being 6 and doing like bookkeeping and talking English because she was the only one that could, and the stress on her 40 plus years later because being put in some of those adult situations. Have you been in a family-owned business and encountered the children there in a booth doing their homework or behind the counter, like 10-year-olds taking orders. Okay. I understand the need for that, but that is a bit of a trauma for that child. You're putting them in an adult position when they don't have the adult level maturity. And so let's help these family-owned businesses so that they can enjoy good relationships. Because when your relationships are good, even the struggles with business, you can get through them easier. You can have a successful business and crappy marriage. But if you have a great marriage and great parent-child relationships, you're good. You could have a hard time with your business, but hard does not mean bad, does not mean damaging. It just means it's a challenge and you can get through it. So it fits right with my desires to see healthy family relationships out there by supporting those families that need it the most.
Yeah, it's literally in your wheelhouse, you know, like that actually aligns perfectly with what because you work with couples and then you also work with families. I mean, couples are families, so so that actually makes perfect sense. And I've heard, I don't know, but I've heard that working with family could be hard. So you could actually that may even be like an opportunity for your counseling right there. The mom and pop could like couple right into that, you know, like family-owned businesses we support, but hey, I also understand the family dynamics and how to help that as well.
Yeah, we will be offering webinars, podcasts on those types of topics. You know, bring in an expert on a topic that's going to help them. Keep it short so they can listen to it on their drive time into work. And let's just talk about 3 things you can do today to improve your relationship with your kids or teenagers or your spouse, as well as things for helping them with their business. A lot of these families want to see the business passed on to the kids, right? And that's their desire, but they do things along the way that damage the relationship. And when it comes time to pass it on, the next generation has no interest. Like, oh, I've done all this for you and you don't want this?
Then resentment and
So how can you manage and balance the work-family relationship over the course of time to be successful?
So do I need to go out and start a family to go on Mom and Pop?
You know, I was wondering, like, kind of what is your status as far as relationship?
I got a single business, I guess. Okay. I'm single and I don't have kids. I don't have a family. So if I have a business though. So is that family-owned business technically?
Yes, it is.
Okay, sweet.
Absolutely. As long as you're not a franchise, a chain, an association, blah blah.
Okay.
Kind of stuff. Yep.
Well, sweet. Well, is there anything else you'd like to promote or talk about on this episode?
Yeah, just the mymomandpop.com website. You know, get listed on it. Right now, it's $97 for the year. Okay. We want to make it a no-brainer. As we expand to other cities, that price is going to definitely go up, but we wanted to make it easy entry to get on there, and you're locked in for that price for life. One of the unique things in how we're listed is it's the first signed up in that category gets the first listing. And so,
nice.
So you're locked in. None of this buying preferential top spot. None of this. Well, if I name my business Counselor Keith, I'm going to come up first because alphabetically. No, it's like if you believe in this, if you want to increase your base of loyal customers,
you can't gamify it essentially.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. It's just helping those people who are early adopters. So, you know, you're going to be patient with us knowing that we're growing this and building up the number of businesses on there. So we're not driving a lot of traffic to it right now, but you're getting a great price. You're locked in for life. You're getting that top placement. And people can go on and search right now. And you'll find the 11 or so different categories where we have some great family businesses. Start supporting them now, and you're going to hear a lot more about.
I think our sponsor of the show, Brandon Kirk with Planet Duct, is on there, right?
He's our outside of me putting my counseling and my wife putting her business on there. He's the first one he put on his carpet cleaning and his duct cleaning.
Yeah, he jumped on that. Yeah,
he jumped on.
He loves supporting things, and I love it. Yeah.
So I think that really says something because I've seen what he's done and where he's put himself out there in front of people and the stuff he gets involved in. And when he saw this, it was an immediate yes. Yeah. Want to be on this. This is going to be a good thing. And so hopefully everybody who wants a family-owned carpet cleaner or duct cleaning business will find him first, and he's going to get more business, and you'll be well taken care of. I know by him.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like,
and you being single, you probably do need your carpets cleaned, too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. so, yeah, I guess we'll start wrapping this up. So,
Okay.
So cool, man. It was great having you on the show. Thank you for coming on and providing value for our community, and I appreciate you, man.
All right, I really enjoyed this. Thank
All
you,
right,
Andrew.
sweet,
and
man.
Marcus over there.
Yeah, Marcus over there. We're gonna get him a mic over there so he can come. So he can say
Kind of like those guys on the talk show hosts at night.
Yeah.
They got the sidekick guy.
The side guy, yeah.
This Guillermo or
Oh yeah,
Kimmel's got one. He does great interviews at the
Oscars.
I saw him, and inject some humor and stuff.
Yeah, he's my Guillermo over there.
Get him down on the street with a camera and
exactly.
people and the channel on. Let's do it.
Yeah, sweet, man.
All right.
Well,
super fun time.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
This has been the COS Business Podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. All right. Yeah, for sure.
Only like in the last 15 minutes could I pay attention to, here I sound better, here I don't.
Oh, really? Okay.
And all that stuff.
I'm gonna try to tune that in for guests before we get started.
Off center, and I think it's because I didn't want to think of looking and hiding behind.